Morning, folks. Happy Monday to everybody that's listening or will listen on YouTube. We're averaging a few hundred hits every time that we do this, which is gratifying, knowing that people, even if they can't watch it live, are looking at it later for information. So it certainly has over time, has done what we've anticipated that it would do, provide people with updated information. So just an aside, I know that many of you have had the COVID virus touch your immediate families, and I certainly, our heart goes out to all of you who've had that happen. Just happened to me over last week. My son, who many of you know, has worked here on and off, he's actually down in prep school. He took a gap year this year rather than start his freshman year in college for obvious reasons, because college is a little bit up in the air. But he actually tested positive for COVID in the middle of last week. He's doing fine. Of course, he's 18, soon to be 19 years old, and very healthy. But he did lose his taste, his sense of taste and sense of smell over the weekend. So he's been experimenting with hot food and jalapeno peppers, apparently, and everything else, and to no avail. Can't taste a thing. So I guess that's the glass half full part of it. But again, it's real, and in some parts of the country, it's snowballing. We've been fairly stable here in Western New York, but I'll be honest, I don't anticipate that continuing as we go deeper into the fall and winter season. We see what's happening in downstate, we see what's happening in other areas. And so with that, one of the things that we always do is try to look at opportunities to continue to be even safer than we are now. And one of the things that we've been kind of living with over these many months of, again, continuing to be COVID-free for our residents at all levels of care, is that, especially in the independent side, as folks know, there are a tremendous amount of companion aides and personal care aides and family helpers, / caregivers, nurses, LPNs, therapists, etc., that come in on a daily basis, sometimes staying with our independent residents overnight to help them through their day, assisting them with daily living, etc., etc. And that's, of course, been going on forever and ever, and it will continue. And many of our residents wouldn't be able to manage their day, wouldn't be able to stay safe in their apartments or patio homes without that assistance. And we certainly realize that, and we know how how desperately important that is, whether it's you're hiring somebody or a family member's coming in. But what we haven't been able to do up to this point is require, or haven't been able to manage, whether or not they're getting tested. And that has been an Achilles heel. It's something that we've kind of worked around. But I can tell you that it's something that we've identified that we need to shore up going forward, going into this next evolution of this virus. So, with all of that as the background, I can tell you that starting next week, Wednesday-ish, all companion aides, personal care aides, family helpers or caregivers, LPNs, nurses, therapists, you name it, anybody that has been hired by independent living residents to come into their apartment that's a non-Canterbury Wood staff member to provide them care or assistance, and or a family member that provides them care or assistance will be required to prove that they've had a negative COVID test, a PCR test, within the last week. They will be required to show it to us. My nose is extra itchy today. They will be required to show it to us in either security and or the front desk. So for instance, next Wednesday is the 4th. So they will be required to show us a negative COVID test that they have gotten sometime from the 29th on, from October 29th through the 4th, and then it'll kind of continue to rotate forward. So let me repeat that. Starting next week, any companion aids, this is at both sites, Williamsville and Gate Circle, any companion aids, personal care aids, family helpers or caregivers, LPNs, nurses, therapists, you name it, folks that are working with and or employed by our independent residents, whether they're in their apartments, whether they're Gate Circle apartments, whether they're in our patio homes, will be required to get tested once a week and produce results showing a negative test to Canterbury Woods staff, security and or front desk, every time they come in the building to be allowed in to provide care for that resident. So sometimes you get tested and you get the results on your phone. Sometimes you get other means of being able to prove that in writing, etc. You will need to not only get tested, but you'll need to have proof of that test on you. Now, a few things. There's 3 testing sites scattered throughout Erie County, and I will be putting a memo out today to all residents kind of detailing this change in procedure. But these caregivers, companion aides, family members, etc., can go to a myriad of different free testing sites. We'll try to list them on the memo. These free testing sites, along with Quest, etc., do not require a physician note or physician permission to do that. You can just roll up and get tested. Excuse me. However, some agencies are providing testing. So people that are working for home care agencies, personal care agencies, that's available sometimes through your employer. We will be providing testing here at Canterbury Woods as part of our normal employee testing. So we test our own employees between 150 and 180 per week. We have an area in the building that we test for. If somebody cannot get a test any other way, we will provide a test here for them. Those tests, however, will be borne by, the cost of them would be borne by the resident that they are working for. And those tests cost $80 a piece. That's what we pay for our employees. That is our cost. So if somebody cannot get a test by any other means, and they need to come to Canterbury Woods, we provide testing. If they get tested, that test will be billed back to the resident that they are working with. Again, all companion aides, personal care aides, family helpers, family caregivers, LPNs, nurses, therapists, etc., that are tending to, working with, providing care for any independent residents, starting the middle of next week, Wednesday, will have to produce proof that they've had a negative COVID test within the previous 7 days. And that will continue for the foreseeable future. So all of those folks that I mentioned will have to get tested once a week. They will have to make arrangements on their own to get tested because they're not our employees. They can access one of the free testing sites. Some pharmacies have drive-up testing, as we know, Quest. Or they can decide to get tested here at Canterbury Woods. We will test them. We have the ability to do that. In that case, the resident that they are providing service for would be billed for that test, and that test costs $80. Dawn Wilkes, our resident services coordinator, will be reaching out to everybody that she has on her list, family caregivers, companion aides, etc., as will folks down at Gate Circle, for the folks that provide care down at Gate Circle in the next few days, to let them know about this if they haven't heard. to provide them additional information. Like I said, we will be putting out a memo to all of our residents to detail this. We know this is a change. We know there's going to be a lot of questions. You can direct your questions right to me, R. Wallace, W-A-L-L-A-C-E, at echa.org. Again, this is something that we've lived with in terms of a potential exposure to COVID. Having these personal care aides and caregivers and so on come in and working with our independent residents on an ongoing basis, not knowing if they are being tested. And so this is a big step forward for us. We are mandating this. So if somebody comes in, whether it's 10 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock this evening, or 10 o'clock in the evening, after next Wednesday, and they can't prove that they have a negative test within the last 7 days, they will not be allowed to provide care and services to that independent resident. We're putting that out there now. We have a week. Everybody has a week to go out, get tested, and get proof of that test. You know, we will work with residents and we'll work with care aides to make sure that you know, we work on individual special circumstances, but we want to make sure that people are moving forward with this new mandated policy. Don't hesitate to send me any questions. More information to come via memo. I, of course, will talk about this in detail again on Wednesday, and then Monday of next week, and on an ongoing basis. Thank you, everyone, and I will be back here on Wednesday.